Hello, I'm Coach Oyama, and I have a passion to help you improve. I specialize in macro analysis, and hopefully I can give you something. Oh, I do all my coaching for free, and all you got to do is DM me, and hopefully I can give you three actionable steps to help your gameplay today. Here on Hanzo, we'll read that in a moment. Here's my resume if you're curious, and my contact Discord, so DM me if you're coaching. Alright, let's look at this. DPS has been my worst role, but I've recently started trying one-trick Hanzo with not much success. That's a whiplash of a sentence. But needless to say, I'm expecting a little more game sense than Gold 3 then. If you're, not necessarily, you could just be like a little bit above Gold 3 on your other roles. But a lot of my games end up becoming like this one. I'll hit some nice shots for myself into thinking I'm carrying and proceed to use as to why we lost. Okay, yeah, there's a very easy mental trap to get into. It's hubris, essentially. We all fall victim to that, me especially. I would like some basic fundamentals that I can work on with isolated practice, as I'm clearly lacking some. Thank you. I don't know what that necessarily means with isolated practice, but I can definitely give you those basic fundamentals. That is what I specialize in. So hopefully, Hashbrowns here. We're on attack first. Just make sure that's Hashbrowns. Yep, it's Hashbrowns. So let's go ahead and look at your gameplay. Taking the off angle out of spawn. Okay. Not very common. Also, you said help me become Overwatch League Legolas. I will hold you to a very high standard if you want me to, but okay, needless to say, let's talk about oh no, that was your carry got that down. I thought you got to pick on the enemy. No, you did get. You got to pick on the enemy Ash. But your team got to pick on the enemy. Okay. When you're up, just from a general macro perspective, push the advantage because you have more resources. If we're just going to talk, just rinse and repeat the exact same thing. Cooldowns, positioning, health, and it's more of an application of this. Their overall cooldowns and positioning and health are at like or let's say every player has 10. Except for the tank who has 20. Yeah. So 60 total. So it's kind of like a 6v6 still. Balancing it. So if they lose one of their DPS players, they're at 50. And you guys are at 60. Because you still have all your shit. Or account for like the fact that you use all your trading some health, trading some position, trading some cooldowns. They're going to be at like 40. And you guys will be at like 51. I'm assuming. And so as you can see here, you have more than them, and if we're playing a game of Risk, you should attack them. Even though they have the defending advantage, you have a higher army, and you're going to win as long as they don't regroup and get their reinforcements. What that means for you, and the reason why I'm looking at this top-down analysis and speaking so much, like shut up and just like help you improve, right? This right here, climb up, take the angle, and shoot the enemy's squishies instead of shooting the tank. If you're shooting the tank, be very deliberate about drawing all the resources so he has to push back. But here, you can push the advantage. And one very common concept that I like to talk about is pushing the advantage because players are a bit shy and timid. And they either don't see the opportunity to or see the opportunity and do nothing because they're too shy and timid. But go balls to the walls, get Legolas mindset, jump into the enemy backline and take a risk. Not necessarily like a suicidal risk like I'm describing here. But needless to say, adjust your positioning and make it look like you just got a pick. Like to me, if I were to guess, I'm just like without the wall hacks, I would guess that like nothing changed in this team fight. It doesn't look like anything changed. You're not trying to push it. Perfect. I love this flank. It shows me that like you're taking initiative, that like something happened and that you're now aggressively positioning because of it. Okay, you're positioned so she couldn't get healed, but very nice shot there. Okay, movement air. I think you had the right idea of starting to walk backwards and addressing the threats correctly. The skipping is getting a bit weird. I think my OBS is taking up too much RAM. We need a new computer. But nice shot. Okay. You know you're even right now, so adjusting where the enemies are and where you are. This is fine working the carry. Okay. Well, sorry, I'm tired. Just woke up. Two things I want to address. One is I was lying. I just wanted to address one thing. But needless to say, there are two different types of targets. I think that's what I was trying to go with the two-part. two different types of targets. Ones that know that you're there and ones that don't know that you're there. When we're looking at this Curie back here, which she was very oblivious, she doesn't know that you're there after you shoot her in the face. She loses Piaget's object awareness, and she's like, oh, Hanzo gone? Like, peekaboo, he's gone. Like, but if this Curie doesn't know where you are, take your time, stop your movement, hold your shot, line it up at head level where you know the Curie's head is going to be. I just see Kyle, but like, needless to say, line it up at the head level where you know it's going to be, and just calm down. If we're in the practice range, I can guarantee you that if the bot's walking forward at you and I say hold your shot and shoot it when it comes into your crosshair and line up your crosshair where you think the bot's head is going to be, that's exactly this. The reason why you don't understand that is you just didn't see the opportunity of she doesn't know where you are. And even if she did know where you were, you would calm down and realize that this is just the training range for a split second, and I need to just training range. I will hit the shot because I can hit it in training range, but you panic here instead. And so, you know, one small thing, but small things add up. They happen multiple times, especially. Compound the effect. Okay. One small tip on Hanzo that I just need to give to you. Always charge your arrows, nearly always charge your arrows to full power. I think you're doing it pretty well, but yeah, like this is a scenario where you don't need to, and you can just kind of spam them at half power. But for the most part, I think you're doing not too bad of a job, but you know, better to mention it than not mention it and get you in the habit. Okay. So from the top-down perspective, I like to look at the top-down perspective, and then because there's a bit more clarity of what's going on in the team fight and how you as a player can contribute. So what's going on in this team fight is they have the high ground and their Sigma is simply holding you down from the high ground. So if you can either force these enemies off of the high ground, because your Orisa is just having a hard time pushing through. The optimal scenario is you guys have full map control and they're just stuck in a corner, right? So how do we get to that scenario? It would be that your Orisa is able to push the enemy tank back. In this case, he's on low ground, which he should not be. He should be on the high ground. But the things that are preventing her from doing so are the people on the high ground. And so there's a couple of things that you can do. You can either kill one, and then they're forced to fall backwards. You can deny the high ground or kill any of these people. Easier said than done. Or you can drain the tank's resources. What I'm noticing from you is I feel like you're just... If I said kill the... Only, like, do nothing except kill the Zenyatta here, you'd be playing a bit differently, because I can kind of read in your body language that you're giving it a half effort. If it was just kill the Zenyatta, you would take your time and like focus your efforts on sneakily getting to the Zen, walking out, and then waiting for him to, you know, like lining up your shot. But you're not doing that. So and also it's a bad engage to like be engaging from here. I would rather see you either take a position in the castle, flank, look for a flank up here, use your sonar to identify where the enemies are so you can properly adjust the threats, and then take a calculated engage where you can contest that high ground and help your Orisa push into the enemies. Another way to identify that. Oh, very nice, very nice. Yep, perfect. So you're putting your crosshair still, waiting for them to walk into your crosshair, which they were already in your crosshair to begin with because you lined it up well, and then shooting. And then, yeah, so the Zenyatta knows that you're there, and so you're 80-80 strafing, and your movement is still controlled, but sporadic to the enemies. So, pointing out, so it seems like you kind of have it under muscle memory, just maybe you're not very cognizant about it, and you're not 100% accuracy every single time that moment arises on that, like, knowing. Yeah, okay, this is good mechanics again. Maybe not that you hit it, but you got the right habits. That's the most important part. Audio cues on that sound, first of all. Let's talk about staggering here. In team fights, let me just overall generality. You have pre-fight, mid-fight, cleanup. When your team is even in the very beginning before they engage, you're in pre-fight. When the team, it's like a 1v5 or a 5v1, that's cleanup. You don't want to use your ult or like stagger and cleanup. You also don't want to overextend and die in pre-fight. And so they're a bit opposite of each other, but mid-fight is pretty obvious. It's in the middle of the fight. Anyone can still win. It's anyone's fight, and you know, everyone's trading resources. So when you're in cleanup here, which you are very much in cleanup because you're alone by yourself and your team is not grouped up, you can either get a pick But this is a very high risk, high reward scenario. Because for your team, if you die here, it extends, like, most fights are won during mid-fight, and that's where you see progress of the or that's where you're able to go into cleanup and see progress of the objective. But if you die here, it prevents you from ever getting to mid-fight, because now your team has to clean up. Oh, we're still cleaning up. And we never enter into pre-fight, which never enters into mid-fight. You can never get to mid-fight without a pre-fight. And so, that's what staggering does to your team, because now your team is wasting how many seconds? Versus if you just died and regroup with your team, and then let's say that this other person didn't die, because hopefully. So, versus if you just like went out and went ham right here, if you died like right now. So 53. Versus now, 43. That's 10 seconds. You know, 10 seconds once, not that bad. 10 seconds twice, 20 seconds. 30 seconds, that's like more than just 1%. Like, that's like 5% of your entire team. You know, just the small mistakes, but 10 seconds of not regrouping with your entire team is a lot. And so if you can get a kill there, that would have been not that bad. But, you know, it's in the... Maybe you thought that you really could get a kill.
It is not my time yet.
I'm going to recommend that unless you're like really confident in your mechanics, just jump out and get it done with, you know. You're sneaky enough already, like... Ooh, okay, she moved. Good mechanics could happen again. But, you know, just get the staggering done with, or get the death done with, don't stagger. You might as well just run in and make it an even 1v1 to not stagger. You still have a decent chance at killing them in an even 1v1 if they know that you're there. Nice ultimate. Very nice ultimate. Going into this team fight, I could have looked at the ultimates and started ult chunk and fight planning for you, but I think that ultimate looks very good. Okay, so the one thing that I want to go over on this point is taking the high grounds. If you take the high grounds and you disable the enemy deport, you what is the word? On the hiccups, I forgot to breathe. Oh, but you not disable the enemy team. You test the enemy team and grief their win condition. Oh, very nice. You're about to hit that one too. Someone's on cart, by the way. Okay. Someone's on cart, by the way. A little awareness issue. That can be fixed over time just by playing. Ooh, this flank here. A very interesting positioning. Kind of like it. Alright. Very cool. I think more so I love this position. It puts you in a really nice place above the enemies. But the one thing that nice shot. One thing I don't like is your awareness in this position. Because you have to be aware that there are threats to your right. And not necessarily so you're like, oh, but they're not shooting me. Well, it's not about that. It's about being aware of the threats. Because in GM, you would die instantly. Like, you're not looking at them. And so why not just think like and play like a GM player? While you're tunnel visioning on this Ashe, there's a Zenyatta, there's an entire entrance there and an entire entrance there. So, address your threats accordingly and at least look at them and realize how badly they can screw you up, because you just got shot by the Curie, you're about to get shot by the Zen. So if that Ashe shoots you, you know, this is not a controlled fight anyhow. And so if you looked at the Zenyatta instead of the Ashe and are able to trade aggro because you have better awareness, that would be much nicer and what I would love to see. I'm just pointing it out now. I think with the current awareness that you have, and the way to get awareness is work on your mechanics and think about awareness while you're doing so. Or just being having an eye open in the fights, I guess you can say. Okay, that ultimate was a very panic ult. I think that you definitely know how to improve that ultimate. First of all, more awareness, which will come with time while you're playing, and you grow your mechanics to be able to be more aware. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. My Overwatch is breaking. But yeah, grow your mechanics and play cognizantly and be able to think about your decision making rather than panic all the time. You know, panicking all the time comes from not having control over your mechanics, but you'll be able to improve that way. then you'll be able to gauge more of these team fight things. But I think you have a general idea of, from what I'm seeing in your gameplay, you definitely understand what I mean by this stuff, and it's more opening your eye to it now. That oh, positioning here is whack. Opening your eye to the possibilities of the positioning. What put you in this situation? Oh, yeah, this flank onto the left side. One thing that I want to mention, it's like read the room kind of. Like when you're talking with people and they're sad, you don't do certain things, or like, you know, read the room. Where it was your Orisa was I guess this is also a bit of an awareness thing also. Your Orisa is backing up because there's a Sigma and Kiriko in the back line. Optimally, if you have the best awareness in the world, you know where every player is, or understand where they are not and where they can be. So for example, you have zero idea where this guy is, but you know that he's somewhere over here in general. You should be able to know that the Sigma and Kiryu are here on your soldier, because your soldier's dying if you look backwards and then also look in the kill feed. But the awareness is not there, and you're trying to peek main, in which you think that you have your team with you. In reality, you don't have any of your team with you. Other than your Baptiste, but your Baptiste is doing God knows what. Needless to say, though, a bit of an awareness issue there. Oh my god. Do I have like 0 RAM or something? What's going on? No? All is fine. Wait, why is Discord taking so much memory? What? Alright. Discord's taking more memory than OBS. God, if I knew what was going on. Jesus Christ, okay. Back to the VOD, are you? Yeah, also, the reason why I'm like so distracted right there is because I know that you're in the cleanup phase, and there's really nothing that you can do to other than improve your habits of micro in the cleanup phase to turn the tides of the team fight, and that's not the important part of where you should focus in your efforts. Here, disengage. I like that engage onto the Soldier 76, but one thing I do want to that pick onto the Soldier 76. One thing I do want to clarify though is high grounds are always better. If you look at this high ground up here on Ico Mold, you have a much better angle to shoot at the enemy team. Instead of just shooting whoever is peeking you, you have the option to shoot other people too. Beautiful, you're on the high ground. And so now they have to deal with you, and their entire team is looking at you, and you're essentially creating space for your team by existing on the high ground, and you also still maintain your pick potential. Just Zenyatta. Okay, very nice. I'm talking about ultimates here. Honestly, I already forgot everything that we were talking about, because I also had another VOD to do right before this. That was Hanzo, and so I'm thinking of like the 3 things that I can help you with in terms of decision making. Okay, positioning is definitely going to be one. If we're thinking about your positioning, rather than having a static positioning like this, it's better to cut the engage and just stop engaging with a certain person and just reposition and put yourself in a better leveraging position. Because for example, if, you know, in an extreme case, they turn into a training bot, if you're able to make that instead of like forever sitting in engagement like this, where you're just kind of 1v1ing, you know, those 1v1s aren't where you're going to see the most value. It's going to be like where they turn into training dummies because you created that opening with your position movement cooldowns. And then this is just kind of a wash, just a whole cleanup phase. You guys never fully regroup. So, and then they just win. Okay, so I think positioning is going to be a 1. I think your ult usage also can be improved a little. You just look at the ultimates again. Even ult here. So that was in the cleanup phase because you guys are already gone. I don't want to just give you a tip of like improve your awareness, because that's a low blow. That's a cheap one. That's like, okay, how do I improve my awareness? Playing more? Okay, that didn't really help me, you know what I mean? So I want to actually give you something actionable. I'm trying to like piece together 3 things. So the positioning, high grounds, maybe I should just do like 3 all positioning. This ultimate was really good. It was in the mid fight. It split the enemy team. Perfect. What else can I talk about? I feel like in the early game, there were some things. Pushing the advantage, I feel like. But yeah, so here we go. Here are 3 things to talk about. Let's get to the end of the VODs, and then I get a blank screen to write on. So 1, push the advantage. You know what? They're all going to be under positioning. Because I feel like your ult wasn't that bad. I only got to see like a few ults, so it's not a very good sample size. But push advantage. When you get a pick, push. Push hard. Squeeze the enemy team. Make them feel like they're being pressured. And it'll make them passively make more mistakes. And that's really good. 2, positioning. Again, I don't want to write positioning 3 times. But instead of shooting and just holding a 1v1 or hoping to get a pick, opportunities through high grounds. If you flank on a high ground, that is beautiful. Even if you die, that is much better than trying to just sit main and hope that you get a kill. So, for example, on Eichenwald, when we were discussing that team fight from the top down, I can scroll back to it, but I think you can visualize it. When Sigma's on the low ground, and then you're also on the low ground with the Sigma and the enemy Zenyatta, if you just climbed the side or got into the castle, then they'd have to deal with you and get them off the high ground. So that's a very important one. And then 3, I think working on mechanics. I know it's kind of a low blow. I just said I didn't want to recommend this to you, but the one thing that you can work on is working the mechanics into the opportunities. Because what I notice a lot of the times is you go into these just 1v1s in main-ish, where if you can isolate the 1v1s and pull and push the tempo, you're able to control the tempo and control the enemy's movement and how you want them into the 1v1. So rather than having just a straight, you spawn in front of them, they spawn in front of you like CSGO 1v1 just clashing with the enemy team, you can adjust your positioning, go back with your team, flank, allow them to come out from their team, and maybe they won't know that you're there because you sonar them, or that they're there and they have to match you, or else you're going onto the enemy teams. And you can use your mechanics there because they don't know that you're there, or that you know that they're there, or they're going to be coming around a corner and you're ready with your crosshair around the corner. And rather than just sitting in a 1v1, focusing on tracking and flicking on your aim, use your movement to set up your mechanics to favor you with high ground and angle, surprise factor, all those different things. So maybe not the best tips, to be honest. I'd like to do a second VOD review where there's a bit more sample size also, because this VOD was a bit short. Nonetheless, hopefully I give you some